Hi everybody, it's Ann and welcome back to the Blog Spot. Now today we're going to talk about everything that's known about the Walking Dead movies and the biggest questions we still have. And this comes from Games Radar. Don't know who that is, but they've got some good questions in here and I want to share that with everyone. And it came out on August 22nd. Okay, here we go. The Walking Dead movies were announced last year following actor Andrew Lincoln's exit from the show as Rick Grimes, and previous reports had us believing that this trilogy would be a straight-to-TV affair catering only to the show's superfans. But in a brand new teaser trailer, which was released at San Diego Comic-Con earlier this year in July, AMC promised that Rick Grimes returns only in theaters, with Universal on board to bring the first movie to cinemas around the world in 2020. Okay. The next point is the Walking Dead movies trailer also teased a potential new location in Philadelphia, the skyline of which can be faintly seen in the background alongside the pesky helicopter that Rick's been hanging out in since The Walking Dead Season 9. And it's expected that the story will take place around the same time as the events of The Walking Dead Season 10, so that Michonne, who is confirmed to be exiting the show, can make an appearance alongside her character's love interest. Other than that, we know little else, but here's every question we still have about the Walking Dead movies before we hear more. I don't know about Michonne going to where Rick is. I originally thought that's what was going to happen, but after I did the video on September 16th that says Danae, who plays Michonne, is the showrunner for a Liberian movie, I'm not sure if she's going to the movies. So, but we'll see. Okay, let's continue. When and where will they be set? The most pressing question we have about the Walking Dead movies regards to setting, especially since the series jumped 6 years into the future as soon as Rick left. Will the Walking Dead movies take place in the same timeline, or will they fill in the missing gaps over the past 6 years we've just skipped ahead of? They might even be set far into the future, and we'll finally see old man Rick in all his gray bearded glory. It would be nice if the movies started right after Rick left and fill in the gaps. The movies may start with Rick being in the helicopter and continue from there, but that's a guess. And if it does that, that should fill in the gaps over the 6 years that we missed him. That's the way it should start, so it'll make sense. The only reason I say that because 6 years is too much of a gap not to cover it, even though The Walking Dead has been known to do that. I also think Rick will look the same in the first movie like he did when he left The Walking Dead, especially with there being 3 movies that are going to be made. Maybe in the last movie, he'll have his gray beard. But it's as much a question of space has it is time. In The Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 3, Jadis, who took the helicopter with Rick, revealed that the community she was in contact with was far away from here. So Rick's new home can't be anywhere close to Atlanta. It may not even be in the United States. Especially given that Andrew Lincoln left the show to be closer to his family, which may answer the next question. Post your comment and let me know what you think. If they'll be filming in the UK or if they'll be filming in the United States. The second point is, why hasn't Rick come back to Alexandria? Throughout the entirety of his final episode, even while bleeding out in a state of near-fatal delirium, Rick is determined to get back to his family, referring not just to lifelong love Michonne and last surviving child Judith, but to the friends and comrades he's been surviving alongside for years. That makes it all the more strange that 6 years on from his disappearance, the character apparently hasn't returned to Alexandria. You would think that upon recovering at the mysterious community, Rick will want nothing more than to make it back to his loved ones. So what's been stopping him this whole time? This is a good point. Hopefully they'll cover that point in the movie, because that's too much of a gap. He could have amnesia. We know he's hurt really bad, so he could be recovering for a while from that. The helicopter may have taken him to another country, where it's almost impossible to get back stateside without access to a working air or sea vehicle. Or the new community he's now with may not let him leave with a North Korean style border policy to supposedly protect its inhabitants. Or, and this is where things get really outlandish, Rick's fall into the river somehow afflicted him with long-term amnesia, and he wakes up at the beginning of the movie with no memory of his former exploits. That's the only way that he wouldn't be able to make it back to his loved ones, if he has amnesia, or that wound is so bad, which it is because that pipe went clear through him, that he just can't make it back. I think blowing up the bridge could have given him amnesia too. And he still has to have amnesia to still have not made it back to Alexandria after 6 years. And the writer of this article says, please, AMC, don't you dare even think about sidestepping this plot hole with an explanation as convenient as that. I have to agree with them. Let us see what happened to Rick once he got in that helicopter, and don't skip any time. That will be the best way. But I'm speaking for me. Point 3. For the last time, who's in that helicopter? Ever since mysteriously appearing in the background of Season 7, fans have been wondering about the identity of the passengers within the helicopter that eventually takes Rick out of Atlanta in his final episode. For several years, many presumed the vehicle belonged to either the Commonwealth or the Whisperers, two iconic communities from the comic books. But both of these groups have now shown up in the TV show, and that reduces the likelihood of their presence in the upcoming movies. Rick has been seeing helicopters since season 1, even though they say season 7. He's been seeing them since season 1. AMC could be cooking up something completely new for Rick to wake up in his first movie, which leaves the door open for a community not seen in any Walking Dead setting before. So far, we know this group has worked with Jadis before. They're situated far from Alexandria and have a keen interest in human cargo, but that's about all we know so far. Well, we know it's going to be a community we've never seen before. Next point, what is the meaning of A and B? The Walking Dead has featured several allusions to the letters A and B, and the whole thing comes to a head in Rick's final episode when we learn that this is the code Jadis uses when trading with the helicopter community, who use the two symbols to distinguish between different types of human cargo. However, we still don't know what differentiates an A from a B. Jadis presumed and hoped that Gabriel was a B before injuring him and labeling him as an A when he decides to tell Rick of her plans. Meanwhile, Rick is labeled as a B, though the helicopter pilot seems somewhat peeved that Jadis doesn't have an A for him in this last scene. It could be potentially referring to leadership ability, health condition, or willingness to be transported in the helicopter. So hopefully the first Walking Dead movie will clarify once and for all what A and B means. Next point, could other familiar faces appear? For now, it looks like Michonne, Judith, Daryl, and the rest will be staying where they are to lead the show without Rick. But that doesn't mean key characters from The Walking Dead's past or from Robert Kirkman's source material could pop up in Rick's movie. Case in point, anyone remember Heath? He's the guy who randomly went missing in The Walking Dead Season 7 and hasn't been seen since. There's a running theory that he too was kidnapped by Jadis and smuggled to the community that Rick is now heading towards. So perhaps this movie will finally show us what he's been up to for the last 2 seasons. Now, I made a video, and I'm not sure of the date, but Robert Kirkman made his last comic in July, and it would be issue 193. I really believe Robert Kirkman stopped making those comics because he's suing AMC. And long as he was making those comics, he had to give all his comic material to AMC. I can't blame him. I think I would have stopped making them too. They're saying it's also an opportunity for Fear the Walking Dead's Daniel Salazar or Rick's little brother Jeffrey Grimes that was in a spin-off comic of The Walking Dead called The Alien to appear. Scott Gimple promises trips to yet unseen worlds of The Walking Dead and faces from the show's past, so nothing's off the table. I can't see Rick's brother Jeffrey showing up because he actually died in the comic called The Walking Dead: The Alien. As a matter of fact, The Walking Dead: The Alien wasn't even made by AMC or Robert Kirkman. That's somebody completely different. Okay, that's going to do it for me. Thank you for stopping by the channel. Like the video, share the video, post your comment, subscribe to the channel, and I will talk to you soon with more Walking Dead news. Bye.